Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Sanja Antonides, lecturer at UCR. I teach Introduction to Cognitive Science, and the Cognition Board has asked me to provide a lecture about mental health and how to improve mental health and what are causes of bad mental health. Due to the coronavirus, we were not able to do this live, so we decided to offer this online for you. So throughout this PowerPoint, I will narrate the slides, and in some slides I will have a little video where I explain in this way. Enjoy, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. These are the contents that I will be discussing. First, we will start with what is mental health, and I will use the definition of the World Health Organization. Then some signs of bad mental health and how we can explain these signs. What causes a bad mental health? How do we boost our mental health? And what are challenges in this situation? And this situation, I mean the coronavirus situation where we have to stay at home, work from home, and can't see each other that much. Then I will end with a video in which I will give you some take-home messages from this lecture. So if we look at the definition by the World Health Organization, mental health is a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Of course, it's very difficult to give a definition to mental health, and if you think about it, it's difficult to see what we believe mental health is. So I think this is a nice definition which includes us being able to deal with stress, us being able to work productively or to be productive, and to make contributions. And maybe that's also what is making us stressed out or experiencing difficulties to cope with the situation that we are in right now. So to be able to explain what stress does to our bodies and our systems, we need to explain a little bit something about the nervous system. So just to explain a little bit further, the brain and the spinal cord together are the central nervous system that you see on the left of this sort of tree. And then on the right, you see the peripheral nervous system, which are the green lines on the top figure, which are all the nerves springing from the spinal cord and the brain. So if you look at the peripheral nervous system, so the nerves coming out of our central nervous system towards our body, then we have a somatic part and an autonomic part. And the somatic part is the part that makes us move our voluntary muscles. So if we move our arms and legs, for example, and the autonomic system is what we're going to talk about today, that consists of the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. So the name already implies that autonomic means that it's an automated process that we don't have any conscious control over. So the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system are systems that work against each other or are active one at a time. In short, the sympathetic nervous system makes us ready for action. So we're going to see this in a bit. We can also call this the fight or flight system. So when something stressful happens, we have to let in more light. So our pupils dilate. We're going to salivate less. Our heartbeat increases. We need to get more air in our lungs. The more expensive systems, such as the digestive system, but also the reproductive system, are going to be inhibited. And we're going to see that there is more blood being redirected to our muscles. So we have to get ready for action. And then the parasympathetic nervous system relaxes us. So that stimulates the digestive system in order to process our food. We don't have to breathe as much. We don't need a quick heartbeat. And all the more expensive systems have time and energy available to process, for example, your immune responses and your digestive system. Just briefly, I want to mention the HPA axis, which is a slower system than the sympathetic system. So the parasympathetic and sympathetic are quick. They make us respond to stressors quickly, but cortisol has a slower onset and also disappears slower. Especially if we have stressors for a longer amount of time, we have higher levels of cortisol in our blood, and that cortisol can interfere with, for example, our immune system, which is then being suppressed through cortisol. So I'm not going to go through the details, but just to show you, the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland sit in our brain, so in the middle of our brain. They secrete hormones that are being secreted in the bloodstream. Those eventually reach the adrenal glands, and those produce cortisol. So together with the autonomic nervous system that I just discussed and showed you, the HPA axis works in concert with this system, so a quick and a slow system, to produce this state of preparedness, so a state of readiness to fight off dangers or to deal with stressors. So the sympathetic nervous system, and I got these stills from a video that you can watch in the link below. The sympathetic nervous system creates a fight or flight response. So if we are, for example, somebody scares you or something scares you or there's a loud bang, you can notice that your heart rate goes up and maybe you tense a little bit, or you have the reaction that you might want to run away. So that prepares us for action. Now I've seen in preparing this video that there are more descriptions of this, so we can say fight, flight, or freeze, because we might freeze, and especially, for example, prey animals might freeze and then run away, or might freeze and wait what the predator is going to do. And then face is if you're going to face the threat. So that's also a part of fight. You're going to face whatever is threatening you. So these are responses of the active sympathetic nervous system. Then the parasympathetic nervous system is the opposite, so that is active when we are rested. And some words that refer to the parasympathetic nervous system is rest and digest, feed and breed. So whenever we are cuddling somebody, whenever we're relaxed and eating, we're resting and digesting, that is when this system is active. So that's when we're calm and relaxed. And maybe you can already infer where we're going to. So rest and digest, this picture implies that we're on vacation, we're in the sun, we're with our loved ones, we're eating something. So this is when we're really relaxed. And of course, we need to create these moments in our lives in order to have a healthy brain. But that's where we're going to go to eventually in this lecture. So before we're going to talk about signs of a bad mental health, we need to understand that stress is not a bad thing. Stress helps us cope with dangerous situations, with challenges that are being thrown at us in life, and especially in nature, evolutionary speaking, stress can help us get away from a dangerous situation or from a predator that's going to eat us or that wants to eat us. So stress is good. It helps us cope with challenges and with danger. The only problem is that if this lasts for too long, so if these stress levels remain high, then we can get an overload of our systems. And we know that stress causes a suppression of our immune system, because the expensive systems in our body that are not needed during dangerous situations that can be life-threatening, causing our stress levels to rise, are the immune system, the digestive system, and the reproductive system. So this is why if you have stress for a longer amount of time, you might have a reduction in libido, you might have less feelings of hunger or forget to eat, or feel nauseous, and also your immune system is suppressed, which means you can get sick, for example, if you have a lot of exams in 1 week and you're very stressed about that. So we always say, oh, this is the worst time to get sick, but that's actually very logical, thinking about how stress reduces your immune reactions. So if we look at what stress does to the body, then short term we can have these feelings of being worried, nervous, unable to switch off. And I think we all experience this in very stressful times. We have a heartbeat that rises. It pumps to direct that blood to the muscles. And again, in an evolutionary way, this stress helps us to escape, to fight or flee. But in our current day situations as humans, this doesn't help us deal with the stressors around us. So we can feel tense and don't have this relief of energy. We have more oxygen towards the lungs, and as we've said, we have tummy issues due to the rush of stress hormones and sort of this suppressing our digestive system. Our skin becomes sensitive, we have problems between the sheaths, as I already said, so our reproductive system is being suppressed. And again, we have that tense feeling of our muscles because they are preparing to fight, flight, or freeze. So on the long term, we can have headaches, migraines, we can have mental health problems, heart problems, trouble breathing, hyperventilation, panic attacks. We can have even hair loss, skin condition, hair condition that are worsening, increased risk of diabetes, and again, fertility problems on the long run. So this makes sense if we look at the sympathetic nervous system that creates our body, or creates a state of our body to deal with these stressors on a short term, but they last for a long time, meaning that this gets an overload in our system with these detrimental effects. Now I have a tip, which is Netflix's series The Mind Explained, and all of them are very interesting. These are episodes of around 20 minutes, but the episode that really nicely relates to this and explains this is the episode Anxiety. So I recommend you watching this if you're interested. By the way, there are sources in the comments of the PowerPoint. So if you're interested to read more or to know where I got my information from, you can look at the comments underneath the PowerPoint slides and then read further. Now, if we look at the signs for bad mental health, we can already sort of predict from the things we've discussed up till now what are signs that it's not going well with our system, or that we have that overload of our stress hormones and our stress response. Of course, that's irritability because we're tense, we have a higher heart rate, we don't have that option to relax and reset our systems, so irritability is surely one of the signs of a bad mental health. At the same time, it's problems to focus because our brain gets these stress signals all the time, which doesn't allow us to focus as well as when we're nicely relaxed and had a nice sleep and feel ready for the day. And as we've already discussed, trouble sleeping, trouble digesting or eating, and in the extreme cases, signs of anxiety, which is also explained in the Netflix documentary. Now, of course, and this speaks for itself, rest is important to recover. So that rest and digest, feed and breathe is something that we have to create in our lives, especially because we have a very busy life nowadays. So some stressors that are present in our lives is social media. And if you look at the picture, you might already get stressed by this. So you have all of these notifications on your phone beeping and buzzing, and all of these signals from your social networks giving you the stressors to respond to them, to look at them, to go to this app, to read what people have to say, to read what people post. So this gives us more stress than we're maybe willing to admit. And my advice would be to sometimes just switch your notifications off. So I have my Facebook notifications turned off. I have my sound turned off for all the apps except for when I'm getting a phone call, especially at night. So do not keep your sound on or even your vibrations on at night, because this subconsciously gives you stress to see what that message is and to read it and to respond to it. Of course, deadlines and pressure from work, from school, can all give us extra stressors throughout life, and these are stressors that are long-term. So these are mainly like projects that take a couple of weeks, or the course or the semester. So these are not short-term immediate stressors that go away after a day. These remain for a longer amount of time, causing these stress levels to be elevated for a longer time than is naturally normal, you could say. Also, it's being said, and there's some controversy, but that sitting is the new smoking. Now, this might be a little bit exaggerated, but sitting for sure is not healthy to do all day. So if you're at home, if you're studying, if you're following classes remotely now, make sure you just get up, go out in the sun, walk around, and have that rest and digest, of course, but mainly that rest created for yourself by walking around and being in nature. But we're going to get to that for my tips for a better mental health. So as I said, we have a lot of stressors that are long-term, so bills that have to be paid. We have worries about maybe our future or our choices. We have payments that have to be done. We have work, but also your study, of course. So all of these things that can be long-term stressors that give us the feeling of anxiety eventually. So this is a problem that can arise, but overall this gives us elevated stress levels for a longer amount of time. Now, something else that I would like to address that I also talk about in my classes is blue light. So to first explain, when we wake up, let's start there. So when the sun starts to shine, there's light outside, then our brain gets a signal to wake up. What it does is that it increases the level of cortisol, which we know as a stress hormone, which is a natural fluctuation to wake us up. So of course we have an unnatural system that is our alarm clock, and that immediately gives you that steep increase in cortisol. But if you naturally wake up, your body prepares you to wake up, get ready for the day, and be active by increasing cortisol. At the end of the day, this cortisol levels will decrease and melatonin levels will increase. So by the time we get tired, we have less sunlight outside, it gets darker, then our melatonin level increases. This is a natural fluctuation that helps us go to bed and to get up in a normal rhythm, and gives us good quality of sleep. Now the problem is that we use a lot of artificial light, and this disturbs this natural rhythm. So just to show you our visible light, so this is the light that we can see, and we see them as different colors. And you can see that the blue wavelengths are shorter, meaning they have more energy. So this is high energy light, having, you could say, quicker or shorter wavelengths, emitting more energy. So just keep that in mind. So blue light is something we see during the day. The sky is blue, which means it's daytime and we should be awake and active. Now when the sun sets, the light becomes more red, yellowish red, and as you've seen in the wavelengths, that's the low energy light that we can see. So blue light is something that is being emitted by machines that we use. So the devices such as our phone, our laptops, our televisions, computers, mainly emit blue light. And I will show you a picture in a minute comparing to, for example, campfire light, which is more red. You might notice this if you're passing somebody's house in the evening and they have their lights off and they're watching TV. You see a lot of flashes of what appears to be blue light. So these devices that we use, and especially in the evening, and especially if we go to bed, or some people, they will watch some show before they go to bed, they will look at their phone, scroll through their social media, and we've already said that social media gives us this social pressure and stress of having to respond and having to read about others' lives, but this blue light also influences us in a bad way. So to compare how this blue light is being emitted by different machines or light sources, you can see that blue light is mainly in these devices that we use. So the older, old-fashioned lights, so the LED lights are also more blue than the older types of lights that we used to use. And candles and campfires also have much more red light emission than, for example, the phones that we use. And on the right, you can see that this melatonin production is being suppressed by blue light. Why? Because our brain gets a signal that it's daytime and that we should be awake, we should produce cortisol and suppress the production of melatonin. So then if we look at how we can boost our mental health, we just discussed what can impair our mental health, and now we're going to talk about factors that can improve it. So these are tips for you to use in daily life. One main tip is this picture. So this is the Aqua Yeti, which is nice to follow. It's the discussion between the brain and the heart. And they're funny, but sometimes confronting and true. So this for me is a very true picture, is that we are very prone to focus on the bad. So if something bad happens, we tend to worry about it, we tend to overthink it, we tend to worry about things that happened to us or that we've done, but also things that will or might happen. And in that, it's dangerous that we can focus on this way too much and forget to focus on the things that are going good in our life. So we might be healthy, we might be able to see or talk to friends and family, we have a good job, or you're doing a study that you really enjoy. So try to focus on the good. I think that's one main tip that I can give you. Now, other factors that increase our mental health is, and this is why my opening picture was of a nature landscape. So nature helps us feel good. Mainly the color green, because we evolved in a natural environment having a lot of green colors, but also animals, sunshine, things that are outside, that are natural, that are things that we evolved in and that our system is used to, can calm our system down. So just sitting inside all day working, staring at a screen is not healthy for our brains. So our brain needs to reset sometimes. Just walk in nature, go to a park, go to a forest, go to the beach, watch the sunset or the sunrise, walk with your dog if you have one, or just sit somewhere and just take some time, listen to music and look at nature. Maybe even not take your phone for 1 or 2 hours. That can really help to calm your mind. Then, of course, as we all know, being with friends and family really helps. Now, that's challenging in these times, but of course, we can call them, we can get on FaceTime or House Party, which is a very broadly used app now, to just laugh with people that you know. Just talk to them, speak your mind. Cuddles is proved to, has been proven to really calm our minds as well, and to calm us down through mainly oxytocin, which is the cuddle hormone. But of course, that's more difficult right now. So if you are in a house with family or maybe housemates, do find that physical contact, because that can help to relax you and get in that resting state of your mind. Then being in the zone, losing track of time. Now you could think of this as doing something that you really like to do. So that could be being in nature, that could be being with friends or family and laughing for hours on end, just these endless conversations, but also, for example, making music, doing sports. Now that's also maybe challenging in this time, but to go outside and run, or to just get on your bike and drive around, again, maybe with some music on, that can really help to lose track of time. And when we lose track of time, usually we feel happy. Exercise has been proven to improve our mental health. So even just walking outside, biking outside, or as I said, running or doing any other sports that you can do, some home exercises can help you to calm your mind and boost your mental health. Now this might sound a little bit controversial, but it has been proven that meditation, relaxation, and yoga improve our mental health. Just simply through the fact that we're relaxing, we're doing something else with our body than sitting behind a screen and dealing with stressing things such as studying or working, just to move our body slowly to relaxing music. And meditation is mainly just focusing on the here and the now. As I said, not thinking about what has been, not thinking about what's going to be, but just feeling your body in the moment. Just being aware of your breath, of touching the floor, of the weight of your body, that can really help to calm your mind, even in that moment, but it has been shown to have longer term effects. So again, how do we boost our mental health? Be with people you love, cuddle, talk, laugh, be with animals. Animals can really help us relax. I myself have 2 dogs and a cat, and just seeing them play or run around, or just coming up to me and cuddle, that can really help me to just laugh and relax and forget about the things I worry about. And there's numerous studies that show that animals can feel or sense our emotions, or can sense that something's wrong. And in this particular example, they can initiate cuddling just to make us feel better. And I've noticed this myself as well. If I'm worried or if I'm stressed, sometimes my dog will just come up to me and want to cuddle, or just do something goofy that makes me laugh. This is me being in the zone. I sing in a couple of bands, and making music for me really calms my mind. So sometimes I just take my guitar and I just sing a couple of songs, which brings me in that zone, in that area or space in my mind that can really relax me, and that can help me deal with the stresses of the day. Now, a very good idea or a tip is also Headspace, which is an app you can download that has guided meditations. And of course, nature. So this is one of the biggest tips I want to give you. Go into nature, go and relax, go and walk for maybe an hour, put some music on and just look around, enjoy nature, and maybe leave your phone at home. We've talked about the blue light and the red light. So during the day, we have exposure to blue light, and after sundown, I advise, or it is advised in general, to lower the exposure to blue light. So there is a function on your, an option on your phone and on your laptop to create this nighttime or night shift reduction in blue light. So here you can see blue light reduction, and you can even have it timed. My time schedule is from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. It has a much redder light than during the day. Of course, you can also just reduce the amount of hours that you are behind a screen, but sometimes this proves to be harder because, let's face it, we're pretty addicted to our screens. Now, we live in a situation where we are socially isolated, and this gives us some challenges that might make it very challenging to deal with these stressors. So we have no or little physical human contact, and as I said, this can really boost our mental health by just cuddling or being with people we like or we love. And I've heard the news call this skin hunger, which sounds a bit disgusting, but I can imagine that if you're alone and you're single and you don't have the possibility to go to somebody close, then that can be very challenging and difficult. So we have to stay inside, which means we get less exercise and we get less exposure to sunlight. So do actively go look for ways to exercise and to expose yourself to nature and sunlight. Of course, wear sunscreen, but we have really bright sunny days now, so try to enjoy that. And also create these breaks for yourself. So prevent sitting inside all day studying because you have these deadlines, because creating these moments of breaks can actually help us be more productive. So this is something that can really stress us out. Our safe, relaxing homes have become our workspace. Now, what is a very good tip is to create a workplace and a relaxed place. This isn't always possible because I realize that in student houses sometimes you just have one room, but even then you can have a desk where you study, and don't bring your study book to your relaxed place where you will sit and watch Netflix or call with friends. So separate this in order to make this separation in your mind as well. Something very important is to create a schedule. So you should make a routine where you get up roughly or the same time every morning, and have scheduled breaks. So just a coffee break around 11, a lunch break around 1, and another coffee break somewhere in the afternoon. This helps you to come into a rhythm of studying and relaxing at set times. Also make a very clear distinction between your work day or your study day and your relaxing. So if you mix this up too much, then your brain can stay in this state of stress and pressure. Well, if you say, okay, I'm going to study until 5, and then I'm just going to stop, and tomorrow's another day. Or if you want to do something in the evening as well, that's fine, but then just say, okay, I'll stop at 5, relax until 8, and then study for another hour or 2. So creating this free time for yourself can really help you to relax in between your study bouts. Of course, this is being said all over the world, really. Stay in touch with each other and check on each other. So if somebody goes quiet, just send them a message, get on FaceTime or House Party, and then just check on how they're doing. But also yourself, reach out to the people close to you and tell them how you feel. Everybody's struggling, but that doesn't mean you have to be quiet and deal with it. So reaching out and dealing with it together really helps to relax. I hope you enjoyed this lecture. Some take-home messages for you is 1, to focus on the good and not on the bad that might be around, but we always have some good to focus on. Try to be in the moment more, so worry less about the past and the future and be more in the now. And what can help is meditation, relaxation, and some yoga. Go and exercise, go out in nature, be with maybe pets or friends and family if that's possible. If that's not possible, find ways to connect with them through the possibilities that we have nowadays. At the same time, reduce your blue light reduction. So make sure you reduce the blue light on your screens, or just lessen the exposure to them. Also, switch off your notifications sometimes, leave your phone at home, and be out in nature more to relax your mind. I hope this helped, and if you have any questions, you can always contact me. Thank you.